So a coworker brought me this Husqvarna backpack blower that he can't get to run correctly. Now this is the cheaper brand or cheaper line of tools that is sold at Lowe's. I believe that this model is about 10 years old, maybe a little older. And the story is he got it from his friend. His friend could never get it to run right. And lo and behold, it somehow had a cracked and broken piston ring. So my coworker got it from him, was given it, and he took the cylinder off, replaced the piston ring. It sure enough was broken in 2 places. I've never heard of that happening before. Nonetheless, he replaced the ring. I asked him what the condition of the inside of the cylinder was. He said it was good. Put a new ring in it, and sure enough, this machine's got compression for days. It feels nice and healthy. Kind of hard to do that one-handed, but here's the issue. Starts it up cold, puts the choke on, starts it, normal procedure, and it runs perfectly fine. No issues, nothing wrong with it until it gets warmed up. And then apparently it just cuts out and does not want to run. So I don't think it's a compression issue. I think it's either a fuel delivery, it could be spark, I'll get to this in a minute, and it could be a spark arrestor. Now he did tell me, and I asked him, first thing was, have you checked the spark arrestor? And he said that it didn't appear that there is a spark arrestor installed in this. So the prior owner, who he got it from, probably took it out. We're gonna check that just to double check, just so we can cross everything off that we need to look at. So he told me that he sunk about $100 into this, trying to get it to run right. After he got the piston ring done, he looked at this, he decided, oh, it must be a carburetor issue. So he put a new carburetor on it. I don't know if that's an OEM carburetor. He said he got it from a small engine shop. He thinks it was aftermarket. He thinks it was an off-brand unit. I don't know. I haven't looked at the thing yet. I was just looking at it, and sure enough, it's got one of these junky E3 spark plugs on it. I do not like these spark plugs. I have had issues with these many times over the years. What we're gonna do is pull off the muffler and spark arrestor, and I'm gonna get a good look at everything here. So the arrestor screen may very well be out of this. You should also take this off and look inside the exhaust port on the cylinder. Carbon will build up there, especially if there was ever a restriction here. Now, if they removed this at any one point, they did that for a reason. It might have not been running right, and that's what they thought they were going to do, so they took it out. If that's bad enough, that's only going to take care of about, half the problem, because if there's still a bunch of carbon buildup in the cylinder, then you're going to have to clean all that out too. I don't know if either of those are the problem, but this is where we're going to start. So we're going to deal with this. I'm going to find a different plug out of the Horde, see if we can put that on, and then kind of just go from there and see what we're going to do. But first, I got to get the right tools to pull all this off. So the first thing we're going to do is pull off this little guard here. Just have a quick look. Well, that's a lot of carbon buildup. So let's pull the rest of this off and have a better look. From what I can tell, the inside of this isn't too bad. Could be that there's a restriction in here. So that's something to keep in mind. Doesn't look too bad. So we don't have an apparent issue with this, other than there's a lot more carbon buildup here than I would like. Could still mean that we have an issue with carbon. I'm just going to kind of set this aside. I'm not worried about it for now. Looks like there is a good amount of carbon buildup. Now, is that enough to cause enough of a restriction? I don't think so, because it's kind of got a wonky opening on the inside there where the piston is. So I cleaned out of there what I could. Looks a bit better. No damage to the piston. A little bit of carbon dust on it, but that's okay. Yeah, just moved it. No damage on anything, so I think we're okay. You guys can kind of see that little V at the bottom of the opening there up against the skirt, though. I'm going to try and scrape out a little bit more of this carbon. It's kind of an arduous process though, but we'll get through it. So next on the chopping block, got the exhaust back on, but we got to get the spark plug out. Yep. I am really not a fan of these things. You can see how they're very different from a normal spark plug. We're going to get rid of this. So what I'm going to do right now is just show you guys that this replacement plug works and makes spark. So all I did was I turned the switch to on the trigger where your thumb controller is. And all I'm going to do is just pull up on the recoil. So that is a nice clean spark. I'm going to show you guys the difference here. This is the E3 plug. These things, they make a really weird spark. I've never had good luck with them, but look at this. The spark jumps around to both of these two arms. It doesn't stay consistent. Something tells me that this spark plug is never going to run correctly in this machine. So let's change this plug out. Hopefully that's what's going on with this, is that he just bought a junk plug and that'll be the end of it. So let's take it outside, primer up, and see what's going to happen with this different plug in it and that little bit of carbon cleaned out. All right, so remember, he told me that it runs fine when you start it cold, but after it warms up, it wants to shut off. This machine's got a primer at the bottom of the carburetor. I've never seen this before. Full choke, pull to start. I'm going to let it run for a bit. We're going to take it up to full throttle here in a second and see what we can get it to do. Pardon the wind, but this carburetor might actually not be adjustable. And sure enough, it's not. Now I'm going to run it without this on, and he just had this in place of the air filter. So we'll just set that aside, see what we can get it to do. But if we can't get this to run correctly, it's gonna most likely need a carburetor. Yeah, this is a fuel issue. We're gonna have to replace the carburetor, and hopefully that fixes it. Maybe I'll luck out and find one that's adjustable, but I think that's what the issue is here, is the carburetor's the problem. Anyways, stay tuned for more videos.